And we're here. Hi, welcome again to Across the Pond with my very good friend Darren in the UK. How you doing, mate? How's things
Yeah,
there?
yeah, I'm absolutely great. Thank you. Brilliant. Had a
Yeah,
fantastic Easter. I trust you did as well.
yeah, all good, all good. It's been an interesting week since we last spoke. I see Boris Johnson's out of hospital now. It looks like he's lost a bit of weight.
Yeah, he has a bit, but no, he's looking better. He's getting there.
Yeah, good.
Good to
And whilst we were away, everybody, obviously, the United States found out it's got a cheerleader, not a president.
yes.
So
Yeah, you
and
need
were
to
you saying
clarify exactly what happened there, Steve.
well, so he gave a big press conference. They've been doing daily press conferences, obviously with COVID-19, and as you know, he likes to berate the press, the fake media, and got into a bit of a back and forth with one of the correspondents, and said, "Listen, I'm a cheerleader. As the president, I'm a cheerleader." And I just had this vision of him with pom poms, and I can't really get rid of it in my head now.
No,
So it's
I think we should create a little animated image for the next one, next Monday with
yeah. Actually,
Donald Trump.
let's stick that out there, shall we? Listen, if you're watching this and you'd like to create us a nice little Trump meme as a cheerleader,
We'd love to see it.
we'll find a little prize for you for the best one, which is all
Yeah.
good. You found something as well this week, Darren, that you wanted to share, didn't you? As well.
I have, yes. I absolutely. I thought this was quite funny. So let me just see if I can share my screen. This is where I depend on technology to make sure that I know what I'm doing here. Fingers crossed it works out. But
So here, right? Yeah. Listen. So here it is.
due to my
So
isolation, I finished 3 books yesterday, and believe me, that's a lot of colouring. I thought this was funny for a couple of reasons, Steve. It's actually given to me by an American colleague. So you notice it's actually spelt colouring in the British
the
form.
the correct
Um,
way.
Yes, absolutely. But not just that, it kind of shows people are at home, maybe bored, not got anything to do, or worried about their business. And there's so many things you can do, and now is the time to go and learn new things. Not just
Yeah.
nothing wrong with color. It's creative, and I used to actually work with or network with somebody who used to say that if you doodle and do coloring and drawing things in, it inspires your creativity, business ideas and what have you. But for me, now is the time to go reading books on self development and how to redefine your business and do things a little bit different.
You make a really good point actually, because certainly the children here are e-learning from school at the moment. Obviously, the
Mm.
schools are locked down like everything else, and I've seen a lot of people talking about this. About here's a great time for self development. Here's a great time to um, you know do that project that you've always wanted for yourself. And I think that's a way of using this time completely to its best advantages.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and it kind of brings us in nicely to the to somebody I'd like to introduce because I was on a
yeah,
call this morning on a Zoom call. What else would it be but Zoom? And I was talking to a local business coach who said that in the last 3 weeks he's meditated for 60 minutes every day for the last 3 weeks,
right.
which is something he's not done before. But it's an opportunity for him to redefine himself or to develop himself and to take that as time out. So yeah, is now the time to introduce Penny
Yeah, so
Metcalf.
we have a really special guest joining us today. Tell us about Penny. And Penny, I'm gonna bring you in now. So welcome, Penny.
Thank you.
Darren, just tell us a bit about Penny, and then we're going to bombard you with questions, Penny.
Lots of nice questions, of course. Nothing
Yes.
too yeah, no. So Penny lives to where I am and does mindfulness in the workplace for corporates, for members of staff. I'll probably let Penny explain in more detail in a minute, but and also something else which is quite interesting, and I don't know if this is for you at all, Steve, but mindfulness running. Um,
Very interesting. Yeah, the only thing I run for is buses. But Penny, tell us about this. Great to meet you. Thanks for coming on and joining Darren and I today. You're our first guest, so kudos to you for being the first one into the lion's den. Tell us about mindfulness and in business and what it is that you do.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you for inviting me. I'm teaching mindfulness in the workplace to organisations and to individuals. Mindfulness is a practice based around meditation, and it's about knowing what your mind is doing at any given moment and just being able to manage it a bit better. So that if you can improve your focus, you can improve your performance and in general your quality of life. So if you practice meditation on a regular basis, it's been scientifically proven to decrease stress, anxiety, and depression, and improve sleep, improve creativity, and wellness in general, and also efficiency and productivity. So I think that's really useful for the moment. The stress factor is useful because we haven't got a lot of control over what's going on. The idea is that we can't control the situation, but we can control our reaction to it.
So it's interesting because you hit a load of pain points for me right there. This real not being able to control what's going on in our lives currently, and the lack of sleep. What's the sort of methods that you think people should try, and how much can that help them? I mean, is it immediate? Is it over time? What's the kind of process?
It can have an immediate effect. I regularly find that I do a taster session with people and they write back to me that day and say they slept better that evening. So in a taster session, I explain more about what mindfulness is and how it can work for you, and do a guided meditation. And it's doing the meditation on a regular basis that is the key to success in this area. So it works just like building up your weights or running further distances. The more you do it, the more you can do it, but you will have a pretty instant effect. And also I say kudos to the guy who's doing 60 minutes a day, but even 10 minutes a day is going to make a difference to you. And in that, the idea is that you just learn to focus on your breath. You're aware of what's going on in your mind. Your mind will wander off. Thoughts will come and go. But the idea is that you learn to focus and to control that focus. So when you're trying to get to sleep, what normally is happening is that your mind is spiraling, probably in a whole series of what if this happens and then what if that happens. So I'd say a good rule of thumb is to promise not to listen to anything your brain is saying at around 4 o'clock in the morning. Because usually as soon as you wake up, you realise that it wasn't likely to happen, or it wasn't that important, or it was just some crazy stuff. So if you can just try to get into that sort of system, and then there's different meditations that can help, but the idea is that you just release that sort of thought pattern. You focus just on the feeling of your body on the bed, and you release that spiral of panic, and that's what helps the mind get to sleep.
I've read a lot of stuff about obviously these things affecting our overall wellness. I mean, and so on. What's your tips about when should you put the device down? I've heard varying things from 15 minutes to an hour. What have you found works best for people prior to sleep? You can see I'm having sleep problems, Darren, can't you?
Sounds like it.
Yeah, I think first thing is to make sure that you're charging the phone downstairs. Is that the case, Steve?
No. No.
It's good to be honest. So you want to take your charger downstairs. There's no excuse now for having a phone in the bedroom. Get the alarm off if you need to do that. And just keep all devices downstairs. So obviously the ideal is that you're going to turn it off an hour or so before you go to bed, but just getting it out of the bedroom is going to be a good start. And definitely for the kids.
That is just the simplest of tips. That is just like, wow, okay, that makes perfect sense to me. And then in the mornings, of course, I guess that stops you reaching for it straight away the minute your eyes woke up, or even if you wake up as I'm doing at 3-4 o'clock in the morning at the moment, thinking, I'll just see what's going on LinkedIn, or if I've got an email I could reply to in the UK. Do you have that? Do you have a regime where you kind of I don't touch a device for first hour of the day, or is that something you'd recommend for people? I know it's difficult in the current situation, but more important, I think.
I'd say another tip is to put it on airplane mode when you put it on charge, and that way you know that the notifications aren't going to be there. So you have to make the deliberate choice to turn that back on. Well, there are people that can do the clever thing of turning their Wi-Fi off at a certain time. I just don't have the technical capacity to do that myself. But it will be useful if you've got teenagers in the house. But I'd say generally, I try to lead by example. Like grown-ups should do what they're asking the kids to do. So we have everyone's chargers downstairs, and they go off at some point before they're going to bed. And then, yeah, it's up to the individual, isn't it, when they want to start that cycle up again in the morning. But I just say make sure that you're doing it deliberately.
Yeah.
Rather than unconsciously.
Okay.
I think we should put you to the test, Steve. I think we should have a chat next Monday and see how many times out of the last 7 days you literally put the phone down and switched it off.
Okay. I'm up for that. An hour before I go to bed.
Yeah, it's all about accountability. The whole thing.
Yeah.
Or like practicing your meditation, putting these things in order. Yeah, it's only going to work if you've got somebody who's going to ask you if you're doing it.
Okay, I'm going to give it a go, and I encourage everybody else to do the same. Tell us about this mindfulness with running, Penny, because I know you are really keen on that. How does that work?
That's basically bringing the same skills to your running, and it works the same with walking as well. So now's the moment for this. If running and walking are the only things that we can do, let's make the most of it. So everyone knows that there's two ways of walking and running outside. Sometimes you go with something in your mind and you recycle your argument, or you have a whole hypothetical new argument maybe, and this time you win the argument, or work out various possible outcomes should it happen again. And the idea with mindful running is that you just turn this off and you just give yourself a break from everything that's going on in your head. And for the time that you're outside, you're just going to bring your attention to your breath or your body or the surroundings, and just make sure that you're giving yourself that stress break and really making the most of that time outside. So I say start doing that when you're outside by deliberately thinking about your breath, feels coming in and out of your body, your feet hitting the floor. And then you're going to decide what it is you want to focus on. So at the moment in England, the weather is beautiful. And that's something to be appreciated, because it's not always beautiful in England. There are not always blue skies. So I'd say now is really the time, and it's the spring. At the moment you go outside, you put your focus onto the blue skies, the bluebells are coming up, the spring flowers, and just really appreciate what we have got in our lives at the moment and what there is, and give ourselves a break from the rest of it. So that's the same with walking and running. And then for competitive runners, you'll find that increase in focus will improve your time, your speed, and your endurance.
Excellent. Great tips. Darren, you know Penny far better than I have. I'm sure you've got some questions for her.
Well, I've never done mindfulness running. I had an ankle injury last year and I've not been running for a while, but I think it's interesting because when you go walking especially, you instantly start thinking about, I've got to get back to John, and I've got to do this, and I've got to get this done by Friday, and I need to get back and put the kettle on. And there's all these things running through your mind. And I think if you actually stop and focus on what you can see and what you can feel, it just chance to clear the mind. And I thought, Penny, you talked about summer, but also you posted on social media about stepping in muddy puddles. And I thought that was quite interesting, because normally, if I'm running, I would step in a muddy puddle. I tend to swear, shout out loud, and soaking wet, muddy socks, and just so frustrating. But the take on it is slightly different. And Penny, I don't know if you want to kind of clarify what would go through your mind through when you step in a muddy puddle.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That was the whole question about whether you enjoy running in the rain or what your reaction to it is, which is really relevant because in England it is raining quite a lot of the time. And when I first got into mindfulness, I made the decision not to complain ever again about the weather, because there was just no point in the conversation and the negativity. So when it's raining, I try to bring this to the people around me. It's good for the plants. It's just going to happen. Yeah. But with the runners, I think the question was something like, do you enjoy running in the rain? And it can be fun to splash in the puddles. But all the responses were, if it's raining when I'm out there, then I enjoy it. I splash in the puddles. We're going to get wet. But if it's raining before I go, then it's hard to get motivated to get out of the door. So I thought that was really interesting. But it's fun to splash in the puddles when you're little.
It goes back to being a kid again, Steve. When you get older, you don't want to splash in puddles.
Isn't it funny how conversations just bring back memories to you? You're talking about jumping in puddles, and I'm thinking of wearing, small Wellington boots and jumping in a puddle. As a 30-year-old man, that wasn't very attractive, but I'm joking, of course, but it was. I had all these kind of, images of being in the garden and splashing around and so on. So, thank you for evoking some of those memories. Is music helpful in this process as well, Penny, or are you more in favour of just being with your own thoughts and not having other sounds around?
And I say at the moment it's really important not to wear headphones, because we really need to be aware of the people around us. And the wearing of headphones is causing some problems on the footpaths at the moment. People aren't aware of what's going on around them. So I think that is a really key point at the moment for people who are out walking and running, to think twice about wearing headphones. And also just to take the opportunity to enjoy. I mean, the bird song is so much more noticeable now, isn't it, without the traffic? That is one of the lovely things about this time. There's a decrease in the traffic noise. You can really hear the birds now. And this is something for people with young children as well. At the moment, the only sort of exercise, isn't it, is to go out with the children. So this is something really relatable for them. Depending on how old they are, you can have them, just find something of every colour. What can you see that's green and blue and red? Just to help to bring their focus into what's around them and gives them something to do, so they're not too moany about the whole walking thing.
Yeah. I mean, for the kids, it's hard, isn't it?
Just
you have children. It's difficult for them.
Just to point out, Steve, for the American audience, the UK government guidelines at the moment is that we're allowed out once per day for general exercise. There's no.
I didn't realise it was that strict.
Yeah, so it's one exercise per day, which obviously try and get the kids out and go for as long a walk as you possibly can in one go. And I don't know how it's working in the US, because I think it's split per state. Yeah,
I mean, every state, certainly in Illinois, there are the essential trips are to grocery stores and for medical appointments, hardware stores, surprisingly enough. DIY stores. Sorry, and for getting gas or petrol, which to me just seems odd, because there's nowhere open to drive to anyway. All of the the big parks, local parks are open, and walking paths obviously and sidewalks, but some of the major green spaces around Chicago are obviously closed for the duration. So that's It's maybe not as strict, but very interesting. Very interesting. So Penny, how can people get hold of you, and what's the best way that they can connect with you?
Oh yeah, my website is pennymetcalf.com. I'm on all sorts of social media. Pretty much everything is Penny Metcalf Mindfulness, and I'm happy to do a free one-to-one for anybody who mentions that they've heard this on Across the Pond, just to get in touch and say that they've heard it, and we can do a free session about sleep or focus or whatever it is that they need most of.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Thank you for that. And for you guys working and living here in the US, don't forget the UK, certainly from Illinois, is 6 hours ahead of us. So don't try and ring Penny at 2 o'clock in the morning, because she'll be asleep. Listen, thank you so much for joining us. Pleasure. Learned a lot today. I'm going to give that a go and look at next week's Across the Pond to see how I got on.
I will do. Thank you.
Turning the phone off an hour behind, and thanks for being with Darren and I today. Pleasure meeting you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Penny.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye now. What a fascinating person.
Yeah.
Great subject matter.
It is. I mean, people are. We've said this before, but people are getting stressed out, or need to stay calm in the current situation. And I think you can't think straight and logically if you're getting stressed out and you're panicking. So mindfulness helps you to think better and to be more productive.
Yeah. I mean, in full disclosure, I'm these last few days I've found it incredibly difficult, and just impact on my life and what's going on around me. So hearing some of those tips were really helpful. Really helpful indeed.
Absolutely.
So thanks for bringing Penny along, Darren. That was great.
One thing we didn't mention is that Penny is also getting involved in the book that you're publishing.
She is, yes. Thanks for reminding me. Yeah, so Penny is just one of a very great group of people, including Darren and myself, who are all producing a book that's going to be out by the end of this week in ebook format called The New Normal. And is a collection of people from our networks who have a lot of diversity amongst them. You know, we have a business traveling nomad, and you'll need to find the book. Need to get the book to find out what that's about. We have obviously people in wellness like Penny, and psychology and business and online marketing and a number of different things. All talking about their experiences of dealing with COVID-19 and coping methods, and how how it's worked for them, and sharing hints and tips and some great ideas. And I really encourage you to keep track of this, because it's going to be a real page turner, I'm sure. And we're really delighted that it's going to be out there to help people. And it just shows, Darren, doesn't it, the power of LinkedIn as well. And and we've got people from all over the world: Venezuela, Germany, Australia, obviously the UK, the US. So again, really, really diverse. So thanks for reminding me, Darren.
Yeah, that's okay. It's worth pointing out, obviously, my part of the book needs to be approved by you, Steve. But I've also included some tips for how to cope with the new normal, in terms of the kind of the lessons that I've been through, if you like. My first 4 to 6 weeks of being quarantined and not being able to go out other than once a day for a walk. What I've learned from my business, and how that can be useful for other people. So,
yeah, no, you're right. I mean, it's one of our contributors is actually somebody who's in the video making industry, and how their business has had to adapt, and they've done some great things. If you want to check out Craig Bass on LinkedIn, you'll find him as one of my contacts. Take a look at some of the stuff Craig and his partner John are doing. It's really inventive in terms of video, and is really helping businesses adapt as well. So it's just one of the many, the many industries that's been affected by this. Craig Bass, check him out. Good guy. Yeah. Good guy. So next week, we have a guy called Sam Morris coming on. He's based here in the States. Sam's a psychologist, and he's going to be talking to us about the American aspect of this, I guess, and talking about the whole cultural differences of, I think, about how people are dealing with this as well. So that's going to be quite interesting. And then if you've got questions, as we said last week, if you've got some questions you want to send in for Sam, or if there's some stuff you want to ask Darren and I, please feel free to pop them in. Share this video as much as you possibly can. We'll do something about the lighting on me next week. It's a bit sun's at the wrong angle. Which is nice. Yeah. But we'll do something about that next week, and we'll answer any of those questions you've got, just about general business or marketing, about online content, about how to grow your business. If you want to, check out our LinkedIn profiles, or find us on Instagram and Facebook. There's a lot of content in there. Darren does some amazing posts, mate. I've got to say, I love the content you put out on LinkedIn. It's always useful. There's always something in there you didn't know.
Brilliant.
So keep doing that, mate. It's brilliant.
Including the snowball post. I've still got it, by the way. I still have a snowball, and it still seems to be working.
It's working well. So if you don't know what the snowball is, go back and look at Darren's post. Look at last week's across the pond as well. That'll bring it. That'll help.
And if you can't hear me, it's not working. Yeah. Yes.
Snowball.
Absolutely.
So there. So, what's happening the week ahead? Anything exciting going on, mate? We got going?
Not a huge amount, just trundling on. I'm still working on a few of my my audio products. So I've actually come across a couple of really good apps, by the way. One of them actually allows you to send your blog posts or your book, in fact, into Audible format for podcasts and other things. So you can take a 600-word blog post and you feed it in, and it's AI voice, so it's not your voice. It instantly turns it into a podcast that you can publish on Google Play, iTunes, and Spotify, and all good podcast hosting platforms. So I'm going to be working on that this week.
Excellent. And in stark contrast, I found the most pointless app on the planet. Okay, this is an app called Duh. D-U-H exclamation mark. And all you simply do is touch it, and it sets off a timer for how long you hold your phone. That's it. That's all it does. Right.
Okay.
So if you're somebody like me that walks around holding your phone all day long, you suddenly realize that you've been holding it for a completely long time. There are two modes. There's relaxed, and then there's a focus mode. And with the focus mode, you just tap it. You just keep tapping. That's all you do. Completely pointless, but it's fun.
There has to be some purpose for it, surely. There must be a way to use it. I know in Japan they talk about the idea that you hold on to something until you fall asleep. So it's not a.
Mate, do you know? Well, given I've got to put my phone down when I go to bed now, Darren, I won't be trying that. But you could.
Give it a go. I will do.
Yeah, D-U-H exclamation mark. It's in the App Store. I don't think it's on Android, unfortunately, but it's in the App Store. Check it. Yeah, that's what I thought. Check it out. It's just a little bit of fun. It'll keep you entertained for hours. What it has me. So that's us done for this week, then, Darren. Yeah. We'll be back in our normal slot on Monday next week. 9 a.m. Chicago time, 3 p.m. UK time, 7 a.m. Pacific time. Send your questions in. If you got anything you want to know, any questions you've got, if you've got some questions for Penny, and again, you can find Penny at Penny Metcalf Wellness. Was that right?
PennyMetcalf.com. So PennyMetcalf.com.
Yeah, superb. And check out and I'm sure she'd love to connect with some of the people here in the US as well as everybody in the UK. So check that out. And lots of fun having her on. Thanks for bringing her along today, Darren. And we'll catch up again next week on Monday across the pond.
Till
then, have a great week, everybody. See you soon. Bye now.
Bye.